Hello and welcome to Fridays at 4 on twitch.tv/DDO stream. I'm your community manager, Kurt Oven. Today is going to be a little bit news light. I think you know most of what I'm about to say. And then we're going to just head in game and rip through some Chiller Ravenloft here, have some fun. I am getting pretty gear ready here on Shadowdale. I'm going to be moving over to Thrain for the live stream here, I think, starting next week. But I'm going to have one last session with the character here, Mock Duck on Shadowdale, just kind of round things out. I've got a saga to finish. I've got a few monsters to beat, and one more item, or one more, rather, thing to craft before I'm ready to move on to my next character here on Shadowdale. How are you doing this weekend? Hope it's a good one. Hope you're having a good time. Some people have an extended holiday weekend in the United States with a holiday known as Columbus Day on Monday. A lot of people do not have the day off, myself included. Regular work day for me. But if you are having a 3-day holiday weekend, hope you take advantage of it and enjoy it. Here in Massachusetts, it's suddenly very chilly. We're having a bit of a cold snap. But I already ran that quest, so we'll talk about other things. Oh, is it? Yeah, that's right. And it's sort of a Thanksgiving day for the folks up in Canada as well. Ooh, Doug Glendower in chat trying to drive me very off topic by bringing up one of my favorite off topic subjects. That's awesome, though. All right, let's get in game, and actually, I'm not quite ready to get in game yet, but I will be shortly. Before I do that, though, let's get to just a little bit of news. I want to do a quick recap on really the biggest things that are happening inside of Dungeons & Dragons Online right now. The first is Ghost Worlds. I think, this went live a little over a week ago now, and it's been a thing that's been on and off successful throughout the past week. We had a big rush right off the bat with Ghost Worlds, but my understanding is, other than some occasional unexpected downtimes over this past 3 to 5 days, Ghost Worlds have really been going pretty well. We have a steady rate of successful transfers from these former 32-bit game worlds, and for the most part, things are going well. We had them down today to run some maintenance on it, get it ready for the weekend. So fingers crossed, we should be good from the Ghost World perspective through the weekend as well. But if you still have a character on one of these 32-bit game worlds, bring them over when you get the chance. No hurry, though, because these are going to be sitting around for 2 years. So you've got plenty of time to do it. But while it's on your mind, if you want to go in, get packed, transfer your character over. If you run into any transfer issues and it's not time urgent, we'll just give it a little bit of time. If you do have a pressing need, my suggestion is try during off hours. But my understanding is that now that about a week has gone by, things have brought to a more normal state. So you should be able to get it done if you can. Now, if you still have an outstanding ticket with us, we're going to work through that ticket. I know the engineering team and the customer support teams were working quite a bit this week to address a lot of those issues as well, but we still have a lot of work to do. So if you're still mid-transfer with us, hang tight, we're working on it. And if you haven't yet transferred, go ahead and do that. Should work for most folks as of right now. The other big thing is the other thing that kicked off last week that I ran a bit on the live stream, but not going to do that this week because I already got my stuff. I was running during the week. Oh, the Night Revels is here. So now through November 4th, well, I got my stuff on Shadowdale anyway. And I have old Night Revels stuff from old years past. But point is, Night Revels is here. It runs through November 4th. There's a new sentient gem in there, and honestly, I think we made it too easy. So, you can get that new sentient jewel of the Black Abbot with 50 of each ingredient. And if I was running at level difficulty 39 on my level 34 character, I was getting 77 or so per. Depends on the quest. I think there was one quest I had to run twice, or one ingredient I had to run twice on. but I had that sentient jewel real quick, and you can too, as long as you do this through November 4th. Also, massive first time XP. So if you're leveling up, definitely run through the Night Revel stuff here before you do other things. You can see the list of the ingredients and these screenshots. And if you just want to have Halloween fun, this is the one. So enjoy while it's here throughout the month of October. This is our final weekend for the volcanic. Whoops. No, not text. Okay, here we go. This is our final weekend for the volcanic patrons coffer. I'm going to be wearing that on, my character is wearing it right now on stream, but this is it. You have through Sunday to purchase this if you want to. Now, our patrons coffers do cycle back, but it can be a while. It can even be like a year plus. So if you want this thing, might I suggest you consider it now? But if you don't want to, if you can't or whatever, it will be coming back in the future. And you will get another shot at it. But get it right now through Sunday. So the other piece I would mention is we do have plus 20 hearts of wood back for a limited time. You will get a bonus plus 5 heart of wood with your purchase. Now, this is through Thursday, October 19th. The main thing I would mention about this is I had a conversation within the past month here from someone on Discord who ran into something that DDO longtime veterans might know, but not everyone does. And that is when you want to swap out all of your levels and you are triple classed, it can be tricky because you can never have more than 3 classes at any point in the process of your level swap through the reincarnation level assignment. So if you're, whatever, fighter ranger wizard, and you want to be fighter ranger cleric, you can't. I mean, you can, but what you're going to have to do is use that plus 5 heart of wood to swap out the few levels of the 3rd class, and then use your plus 20 heart of wood to swap out all the other levels you want to do. It's the way the system's always worked. It's the way it just works. It's why we have this plus 5 heart of wood in there. But it is true that you want to do that. And I ran into someone just a few weeks ago who was confused about that process and was like, wait, I want to go from X to Y, and why can't I? I have 3 classes here, I have 3 classes here. Why is that against the rules? Well, it's not against the rules. It's just that the process has to remember what all levels you had at all iterations when you're going through the reincarnation. You can never have more than 3. It's a bit of a rules lawyery rule, technical limitation in some ways, but it is a thing that you have to deal with. And that problem is solved with that for the most part. And theoretically, you could be a 6, 6, 8, or something like that. But for the most part, plus 5 heart of wood will take care of the vast majority of cases like this, where you can use that to swap out the level. So in the case of the fighter ranger wizard, just become a fighter ranger. And then with the plus 20, add in that level or whatever you want of cleric. Okay. Otherwise, we have a VIP XP weekend. This will get you 5% extra XP if you're a VIP and a 25% crafting XP boost. If you're doing Kenneth crafting, this is the weekend for you. Make sure to crunch your stuff through October 12th. I think that's pretty good, other than I have one more bit that I could mention, and that is we had a game downtime on Thursday this week. It was a little bit of a weird timing. And the reason it was a bit of a weird timing is twofold. One, we had to coordinate some work with the Lord of the Rings Online. There was some kind of mutual services that needed to be down. So we had to coordinate our downtimes to the same day this week. But the other part is there was an attempt this week to try to get out a game update. And unfortunately, we ran into a problem during the build process that prevented us from getting it out on Thursday. But that's in the works, most likely next week. And that'll be update 75.5. The main thing in update 75.5 is, well, there's one, and then one minor bug fix. The minor bug fix is that you'll be able to reach Azar Sartanareth, the Green Dragon in the Isle of Dread wilderness area. Right now there's a rock blocking the ladder or something. We're going to be fixing that. But the bigger change, and the reason we wanted to try to get it out this week until we couldn't, is we have a change to the way that some landscapes are loaded to make their handling more efficient. This is an anti-lag. This is a pro game performance move here. We've done some work really to much better load certain landscapes that should have an impact on things. One thing to note, though, is as a result of the change, objects that are created and left unattended, fully out of sight in the landscape, will now expire after a few minutes, such as Bigby's guiding hands, dimension door entrances, or hirelings left guarding an area by themselves. Now, surely no one would do that. No one's going to be parking a hireling just to score free kills in a wilderness area. But if that is you, in the case of hirelings, the hireling will disappear from the party and can be resummoned if you have their contract available. This is an important game performance fix, however. This is why we're doing this, is the impact that the various things I just discussed was having, along with just the general way it was loaded, was turned out to be a pretty significant issue. So we wanted to get this out here this week. It didn't make it. It'll be in next week, and it'll have this change in it. I think it's the hireling thing that's most going to impact people, because people do like to park hirelings in wilderness areas. As long as you essentially still have line of sight, you should be good. But if you lose line of sight for a long ways, then it will, in fact, deteriorate. I believe the summoning is going to have its typical summoning restrictions. So Gold Seal hirelings can be summoned anywhere, and gold purchased hirelings will have to be by entrances. Just landscapes. Just landscapes. Okay. I know. Making you change some ways you like to play the game. But at the same time, this is an important fix. If we can do other things with it, to perhaps allow hireling parking, although I'm not even sure that we ever really want anyone doing that, but let's just say we're okay with it anyway, because I don't want to debate it. And maybe we could find a way to do it. Or maybe there's functional issues that would precipitate or necessitate its return. Or maybe we could do it just as a quality of life thing. But for now, at least, it's going to have to be in place. I am getting my character roughly set up here to do some questing. I really only have one thing left to do, so I technically don't really need to be doing questing on stream here today, because I just have the one Dolorous slot to get, and the only thing I'm really missing, other than a few other widgets, is the wilderness rares, except I don't want to solo battle wilderness rares on stream, because they have like 1.8 million hit points, and I do not. And although I have, in fact, done this with Alberith and maybe a couple other hirelings that could park around and soloed it, it takes a long time, and it's kind of slow. So the actual way to get that done, and what I would recommend for anybody who wishes to do such things, would be to just put up an LFM. You'll get a party of people who are like, yeah, I could always use more of those things. I got it done in like hour and a half the last time I needed to do it, and I would expect this to take not particularly too much longer either. Especially if you happen to get people joining your LFM who can really take down those bosses, but make some friends, temporary or otherwise, is my recommendation to do that. But I don't want to do that on camera here. I considered it. I was like, well, maybe I should just put up an LFM and would do that, but it's kind of grindy. And so I think instead I'd rather just run some quests instead. Pirate Scout Sword has entered the chat.
You get a sinking feeling as you once again enter the caves beneath.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I don't want it to come across like, you know, we want to be too callous about it. I mean, we only are making this change because we feel we have to. But, oops. But nonetheless,
you'll need to make your way past them.
we do feel we need to make this change. We've noticed some pretty significant improvement, differences in those landscapes as a result of that work. And the strain to the overall environment is kind of a, well, okay, I guess we're doing this. Okay. Is next week our raid preview on Lamania? I believe. Stay tuned on that. We're working to get it out as soon as we can. I don't know if we were able to hit that deadline this week, and I've unfortunately been a little too distracted to really deal with it. Let me see if I can take a look real quick and get you an answer. No. I believe at this point we are likely looking at not next week, but the week after. So that would be something like the 21st or so to put the Chilla Ravenloft raid to Lamania. And we currently, it looks like we're having 2 preview iterations of that roughly a week apart. Again, the second one could get moved out a little bit if there's a particular reason to do so. But that is the latest. Looks like that has actually shifted out a little bit. The reality of the way we do these Lamanias is the go out when we can, when they're ready. And if they're not ready, then, well. Trying to get Rana to res Alvareth here. Kind of have to just sort of let it happen, I guess. Alright, we'll take out some of these people. This fight can actually be a little tricky if you let them overwhelm you too much, but we should be okay. Also, I should really focus fire on those servitors first. I am liking this character a lot. One of the things I'm trying to figure out, though, is my build is a little too similar on Shadow Dealer right now to my build on Thrain. And, you know, I like to swap characters. I play them for roughly a quarter or so. It's kind of where I've landed on that over the years. But I do like to bring fresh faces and characters and not just always play the same thing, even though, you know, if you watch week after week, it can maybe sometimes feel like I do that a lot. But I'm in the process of really working up my characters long-term here on our relatively recently, in the grand scheme of things, consolidated game worlds. And I'm looking pretty good on Shadowdale, and I really haven't touched Thrain a whole heck of a lot. So... I can never remember if I'm doing this one right or not. It's either 1 or it's 2 in 1. I should remember that at some point. We'll find out here in a second. There we go. I know that we are working towards 64-bit to 64-bit transfers, and where are we on that? So we did have it came up during one of our meetings this week. You know, what's the status of our 64-bit game world transfers? And I think we're getting there. Where we spent much of this past week really reinforcing and getting our Dark Worlds transfers going what appears to be pretty well at this point. But if you remember last week at this time, the Dark Worlds were very much overwhelmed and in a pretty full state. And we do, in fact, still continue to see heavy demand on really both transfer services, because the other thing that happened this week, which you have no reason to know about, but we opened Dark Worlds transfers over on the Lord of the Rings Online side. And then in addition to that, we opened up a round of free transfers to two of the 64-bit game worlds, one US, one EU there. But in terms of the transfer service and kind of transfer service related work this week, it's been a very full agenda. But we're getting there to getting to the point of being able to offer that for the 64-bit game worlds of DD. I don't know what I can tell you in terms of timing. I can tell you in terms of process, though, it'll be just like it is now. And what that means, specifically for the 64-bit game world transfers, is that they are still largely considered one-way transfers. Now, there's nothing technically preventing you from going to one world and then whenever we offer worlds the other direction going back. You can do that. But what that does mean is you will be packing, for example, on these 64-bit game worlds. So if you want to, say, split the party and bring some, but not all of your characters from one world to the other, and I would imagine that there's some moderate to large number of players in that position. It means you're probably going to need to do some gear consolidation on bank characters, or get things shoved into inventory. At the very least, before you pack, because when you pack, all that stuff's going to be sucked up into your packing state. So you don't want it there. You're going to put it into character inventory. But at one point we had looked into the feasibility and technical capability of being able to offer some form of both. Some form of either or. Can I leave stuff behind? Can I bring stuff with? What do I want to, whatever. Ultimately, we're not in a position to really make any changes to the system for these 64-bit transfers, at least at this point. So if you are looking forward to these 64-bit transfers, please do remember that this does mean packing from one world and bringing it to another. Yes, so I am wearing the Volcanic Cover Patron's Coffer. This is the one that's available through Sunday. And the Glamored Weapon Aura is part of the coffer as well. The weapon itself is a different cosmetic. We have a battle axe, and I don't currently have that equipped because I'm not wielding a battle axe. But the aura is from this coffer, and the cosmetic is the actual Astral Traveler's pack. I think it's pretty great looking, great sword cosmetic. But the rest of it is the new pack. And as you can hear, I do in fact have the new sentient jewel equipped. I swapped over the sentient jewel from the long-running kobold that I had done, been using, to this sentient gem of the Black Abbot. So.
Ah, yes. I forget that mortal minions must rest.
After the free 64 to 64-bit transfers happen, will, quote, normal transferring come back? Yes, that is actually already underway also on the Lord of the Rings Online side, because they're ahead of DDO by some number of months in the way that the process rolled out. And on that side, we will turn typical paid through the transfer service with DDO points transfers between 64-bit worlds in the future as well.
That's strange. The body of the giant flesh construct you fought here
But before we do that, we're going to be doing other things. So, like these free ones. I'm sorry, I would note I'm actually have a little bit of a congestion, a little bit of a cough. That's where we go. Yes, I already spoke about the people stuck who are in process in a resolution for transfers.
At last, you find yourself
earlier on in the show.
At a familiar hole in the ceiling. It's the one you fell down not too long ago. You learn that Dr. Mordenheim...
It's true what that does mean, Sardonic Fox, particularly in terms of these free 64-bit transfers, that, you know, you can't do that splitting of inventory like I was discussing with creature companions and pets and mounts and that you've already redeemed on a various game world, and that's true. You are simply going to have to pick and choose. But that's because these are meant for
save for one at the end of the hall.
I don't need that secret door because that's just if you want to find the notes. You're going to have to make that choice. It is a kind of a known limitation, I guess, is the way we could describe it. More of a missing feature that could exist but is not required. But it is what that means, yeah.
From a distance, this bookshelf seems to be
Will
like
perf updates come soon? Yes, I also talked about that recently. We have a game update set for next week. Ideally, probably, likely. Was going to be this week until it couldn't be anymore. And that'll have landscape work and other things. So we're in the process of actually doing our next performance fix. Oh, we look to the one after that. We also, on the Lord of the Rings Online side, and I know I'm talking a lot of Lotro stuff this week, but it's relevant, because on the Lord of the Rings Online side, we've been able to identify some work that they got in their version of Lamania this week. That involves large raid groups and basically large groups full of actual people and instances. Well, we got that in DDO. However, it doesn't look like DDO has the same issue that prompted the Bull Roar preview this week on the Lotro side. You know, the systems are different enough, the way the game's been developed over the years is different enough that it's not a, aha, we can just do this on Lotro too, or on DDO too. But it is something that we're taking a look at, and it could be that we'll be able to find some identified work as a result of it. And if that is the case, then that could actually be a next step as well.
Then you spot a laboratory jar containing a brain, and you come to a sudden, sickening realization.
Yes, Nimvin, you will have to pack. Packing is for the foreseeable future until we're able to probably develop the technology to, or the engineering, software engineering work or whatever, separate it out as an option. The packing is going to be with us for some time.
Few have seen their stalwart leader in this form, aside from Dr. Mordenheim and her associates, of course. Speaking of Dr. Mordenheim, I'm afraid she has asked me to deliver a rather grave prescription if I saw you again. But you mustn't worry. I won't make you suffer any more than necessary.
Oh, so yeah, sorry, the weapon effect is in fact the one from the volcanic patron's coffer. Is there a rough ETA about cross 64-bit transfers? No, not really. I mean, it's not going to be... I would be surprised if it was months. I think it could well be something like weeks, but maybe not too many weeks. And I think we'll kind of have to see where we go from there. Whether it's week, 2 weeks, or perhaps 3-4 weeks, I just don't know at this point. But that's a rough guess if I were to try to say something. The other thing is we're going to have more information. Well, we won't have more information until it's live, because I think we're keeping it under wraps. But we will have more, that you will learn a whole lot more about the Fae event that is still on schedule here to debut in just a little bit. That's coming together really well, and that is not going to be getting a Lamania preview similar to the Illithid invasion, or however you want to... Yeah, the Illithid invasion. We're keeping it under wraps, and especially because there are some elements of this that, you know, wouldn't suit for me to spoil. But that's going to be happening not too long ago. So we're already about middle of October here.
My new form has its challenges, I admit. Yet it also has certain advantages.
I'm going through chat, and I noticed a chat from someone earlier agreeing that the Sentient Jewel of the Black Habit is, quote, criminally underpriced. Now, people like things that are cheap and easy to get. I will warn you, though, from a team and development perspective, you kind of cringe a little bit, because especially if this is a sentient jewel and we want to be able to continue to make more sentient jewels and be able to use them to justify doing various things, you kind of don't want it to be like the equivalent of picking up a stick of bubble gum. So they take a whole bunch of work to put together, which typically means they're a little bit of a more premium item, rather than something you can pull together in 20 minutes of running Nightfall's dungeons. But that's a problem for future us. But I guess what I would say is that if next time we bring out a sentient gem and it's not nearly so easy to get, please remember how generous we have been this time.
Most foul.
You have a character on Sir Lona that will go down with the ship, like you're just going to deliberately make them go? I can feel that. I can see that. I can see myself doing that.
Disappointing.
Why are you doing this? Do you want Lamodia to starve?
Nope, not the pixie race. But you're going to get some pretty cool things for the event. And the event itself is going to be a neat experience, I think, for just the general DDO community. They'll dig it, I think. And, but I don't think you're going to know a lot about it ahead of time. We're not really doing, like, previews of it. I think this is going to be one which is going to be a little bit of a surprise bit of fun. Similar to the way we did a Illithid invasion a few years back. Actually, at this point I'm going to swap over to my rages. If you have a ticket in with customer support about a transfer-related issue, then they'll just work with you through the ticket. I know it's taken forever in some cases, and we have a ton of people yet to get to. That is the unfortunate reality of our work underway right now. We have gotten to a whole bunch of people, and we have to get to a whole bunch more. But it is true that I think the way ultimately you'll get this resolved is through your ticket. Can we get a sale of all patrons' coffers around, you say, Christmas time? Cool, we could pass it along to the store team. Has there been a thought about adding further dialogue to existing sentient jewels? Not really. For the most part, I think they're project complete when they're released. And I think if we had I guess it really would come down to if we had the extra lines that we recorded and maybe we found some extra lines that would make sense that we could use, perhaps we could do that work. But it seems unlikely that we would do something like
You have arrived at Schloss
hire a
Ballwrecker
union voice
under the
actor
pretext
for another
attending the
recording
Baron's
session
reception.
outside
Yet
of the
you're
one
not
that they were
actually
already
here to
kind of
mingle.
hired and paid for.
The Baron's Grand Hall is just that, grand. Your senses are overwhelmed with the sights, sounds, and smells of this opulent reception. Yet the Baron himself is nowhere to be seen. You'll need
Yeah, actually, I do think that is the case, Sardonic. I haven't even followed up, actually, with the team, because I know that my DM voice lines and Cold Snap are temporary. I think it is next week's update that'll probably swap... No.
For a price.
It won't be
There's
next week's
always
update.
a
It'll be
price in these
the one
stories.
after that, I think. Which will be roughly first half of November is what I think for that update. Depends on how the raid previews and raid development goes, really. But, you know, the next game update of substance will probably be further / a bunch of... Okay, why is Frogo not Frogoing? Do I need to speak to someone yet? Oh, I need to speak to him yet. Okay. That's right.
The Vault Keeper says that only the Baron's servants are allowed to remove things from the vault. Oddly, he made no mention of the Baron himself.
So it'll probably be something like raid
In any
work
case,
and
you'll
the
have
Fey
to
event
convince him
work will be the
to
next
use
big
documents.
game update.
Or perhaps you can find
Whether they all release right
That's
away or, you know,
There's
half
a
the
door
development
here.
goes in one update, half in
Perhaps
another,
you
or
won't
whatever
have
it
to
ends
get
up being.
permission to access the vault.
Yep, TBD,
Right
but
technique.
I would
You can
imagine
walk right
whatever
in
one
with
includes
the
the
documents
raid
yourself.
VO, probably be the one that includes the swap out from Cold Snap.
That trap will pay for its insolence.
You deftly procure the documents from the vault. Now to return them to the rightful owner and see if she'll put in the good word for you. You've managed to arrange an audience. This man wants you to clear out the Gromishkas in the Baron's ark.
Can anyone give me the skinny on what's happened? Yeah, so I started just going over the news of the week. I mentioned, which you all know about, because if you just look at DDO.com's news site, you'll see those articles. We're working on a raid preview for Lamania, probably not next week, maybe the week after that. We're working on the Feywild event, TBD. We're working on reopening 64-bit or rather opening 64-bit to 64-bit transfers. And that's that. I do have like I said, I've got a bit of a confession. Yeah, so if I'm coughing, I apologize.
Your minions dwindle.
I guess that's about it. I don't think I said anything else of note. I can't speak about planning for next year. I can tell you that planning is well underway for our 20th anniversary and beyond. Whether that includes a new hardcore or hardcore style thing, can't say today. Can we make Otto's boxes $1 for 1 minute? I don't think so. Okay, where are we here? Do I have a stuck doggy somewhere? Give this a second to see if it spawns, otherwise I might actually need to maybe file this as bug and pop out and back in. Because I am not seeing the spawn. What happened to my Grimishkas? Yes, we have no Grimishkas, a very, very popular polka from the 1960s. Well, I think I need to pop out and back in quick. Thankfully, I didn't get too far in this. Alright. Well, we'll file this as a bug afterwards. Yeah, I think we should have some pretty cool things to say/do for the 20th anniversary. Now, for something like this where really I was only, what, a minute into the dungeon, just pop out and do it again. But we should fix the bug, of course, but...
You have arrived at Schloss Auburn under the pretext of attending the Baron's Grand Hall is just that, grand. Your senses are overwhelmed with the sights, sounds, and smells of this opulent reception. Yet the Baron himself is nowhere to be seen. Legends tell of a shrine up in the mountains. It's a place where
just
you
do this
make a
fight off
bargain
the
with dark powers
bat
and obtain your heart's desire for a price. There's always a price in these stories.
Sorjak's hairstyle being added to the game? Oh, okay. Actually, we kind of have it, do we? Okay, let me think about that. Isn't Sorjak's hairstyle somewhat just sort of the wavy straight? I think we kind of already do, don't we? And you can make it green with the hair dye. Yes, we have no Grimishkas. We have no Grimishkas today. Hairstyles should be cosmetic helmets. Well, fun fact, they basically are. I mean, technologically, in DDO, that's essentially what you're doing. Am I banned from singing? Not yet. I guess we'll see after today.
That should be the last of the Grimishkas. Now to return and see whether you can arrange an audience. You've managed to arrange an audience with the Baron at long last. You can find him in his study on the east side of the castle. One of the guests has asked you to retrieve some highly sensitive... The vault keepers
Alright, we'll do this
only
again.
the Baron's servants were allowed to remove things from the vault. Oddly, he made no mention of the Baron himself. In any case, you'll have to convince him to give you the documents. Or perhaps you can find a more clandestine way. There's a door here. Perhaps you won't have to get permission to access the vault. With the right technique, you could walk right in.
I have to admit, I am
and
not
document
a
yourself.
giant cranberry sauce person. Someone in chat is excited for cranberry sauce sandwiches, and although I do agree with you, Like a good, I don't know, a sort of caprese-style sandwich with a cranberry sauce or something could be real good. I'm not actually a big fan of cranberry sauce. I like cranberry juice. Bitterer the betterer. But
You deftly procure the documents from the vault. Now to return them to the rightful owner and see if she'll put in the good word for you. A hush falls over the crowd, as if someone is about to speak. To your surprise, everyone turns to listen to a voice coming from a small mechanical...
Welcome to Schloss Albrecker.
see, I actually would agree with the chat that says, nah, fresh cranberries. Canned stuff is cool if you're into the kind of processed thing and all that. Fresh. Go fresh.
Regrettably, I must attend to some vital affairs of state instead. However, you mustn't let my absence inhibit you. Eat, drink, make merry.
I remember there was a time during our last hardcore season
The prophets of doom will
where
tell you
we
that these are troubled
seriously
times.
considered doing what we typically do over on the Lotro side for their legendary worlds, which is to have level caps. And so it would be something like you would spend X amount of time at level 10, and we would just sort of roll it out the way we actually did back in the day. It's just that, unlike the relatively linear content of the Lord of the Rings Online, DDO is, as you know, a very different sort of game. And so once we actually started thinking about the reality of what that meant to have those server caps essentially in place, the idea really, I wouldn't almost say fully fell apart, but it just became somewhat less cool. And it was like, well, I mean, I guess people would want that, but that would also kind of suck, wouldn't it? And so that's really where we landed on the idea. But in theory, we have given it some thought about, well, let's do a level 10 cap for the first whatever, and roll it out as we go along.
The floor beneath
So maybe we
you
could do
gives
that
way.
someday.
You plummet down to the dungeons below Schloss Albrecker.
Welcome to another part of my home. Part most of my guests never get to see. This is where I keep some of the things Dr. Mordenheim sent.
Max level server? Well, I mean, that's the other thing, right? It could be some kind of Uber God server where you just sort of... Oh, actually, I want to get... Oop, too late. Shoot. Kind of wanted to... I don't think I have a way to res up Albereth. Normally what I like to do in this fight is I will park Albereth kind of across the room and then take care of this guy myself. Because if you try to get the hirelings near his swipe attack, they're just gonna get one shot. They're not capable of surviving such a hit like you might be. Level 1 cap. Level 1 cap, Mimic Hunt active, 100% spawn rate. I don't know if the pit was ever fully endgame, but it was closest to endgame when the level cap was 10 or 12, because I don't think the pit came out right away. It came out a little while later. But it wasn't before the level cap was any more than 10, 12, 14? I can't quite remember what the progression went now off the top of my head. Something. Level 1 legendaries would be fun. Maybe. I think there'd be a question on something like a max level server, though, about portability, because typically the way we run with these worlds is they're limited duration experiences, but then you get the chance to bring whatever characters you want from it over to the live game worlds, and just sort of continue your experience there. That way you never really lose anything by plan on one of our event worlds. But the idea of just being able to make up a bunch of level 30 characters and then transfer them for free to regular game worlds would be something we'd have to figure out. We'd have to figure out. Maybe we could put some kind of thing where you could earn the ability to transfer them off or something like that. Who is playing right now? That is me. I am playing the game right now while I try to hold these conversations and do the best I can. Oh, and as to who I am, my name is Cordovan. I'm the community manager for Standing Stone Games. I've been playing DDO since all the way back in 2006. And as you can see, I never got better, did I? That's not true, actually. I'm kind of liking this character. To the point that, like I say, once I craft up this Dolorous gem, I think I'm going to swap over to Thrain for a while and do a similar build-up. One of the things I need to do, though, on Thrain is swap out the character I was working on there that is just too similar a build to this. And I think that that character is roughly around level 18, so that actually works out pretty good. Because that means I can do a little bit of questing, true reincarnate, pick up an epic past life, and then do whatever it is I'm actually going to do for my next character, which I haven't decided yet. Maybe it should be Dampier Dark Bargainer? Maybe I should finally do a caster character more. I think I just answered my own question. It should be a caster type. And the reason for that is because I don't typically play casters, and I probably should. On stream.
That's strange. There's a door here, but you can't seem to find a way to open it. For now, you'll have to content yourself with imagining what lies.
Oh, that's it. Well, I mean, that's the thing is, you know, whatever caster I make can't be too squishy. Although, Warlock, honestly, you can. I guess I have done that on camera, so maybe I could do a Warlock and just sort of roll my way through another life. But maybe not. I don't know. Maybe it's time to do something a little off the beaten path for my next character life. But the problem with that, of course, is that the more off the beaten path I play, the less geared I'm going to be. But it might depend. Might depend. But I like that idea. I like that idea. Maybe I'll do a non-warlock sorcerer or wizard or something. I like the way you think, Nimvent. I don't need the crutches of skiller gear. I also don't need to be the best. I can be zen about how I get pwned because I have bad gear and no skill.
The way out is blocked by an electric barrier, similar to the ones holding in the scientific experiment. Disabling this
I was always a fan of Stuart Smalley back in the 90s. He was one of the characters I enjoyed in that era, SNL. Not that I'm a big Saturday Night Live fan, but I met Al Franken back when he was in politics. That would have been in the couple of years before his fall from politics, really. But, it was about what you expect in terms of personality and things. Oh, that's right. Yeah, I guess I don't know. I guess I'm pretty much out of conversation, at least on topic. Go off topic a little bit. I saw Tron Ares this week. I'll be seeing it again. Yeah, I enjoyed it. Had a good time. Went to see the big double feature of Tron Legacy and Tron Ares in 3D IMAX. I had to drive like an hour and a half to do it, but I was like, heck yeah! And I did, and it was awesome. Such a good time. That was on Wednesday. And, you know, the movie's maybe not gonna... not gonna become the next Shakespeare here, but, that didn't mean it's bad. And I had a great time with it. Absolutely recommend if you're looking for a good time. Give it a shot. You will probably like it. I wouldn't say Ares was bad, though. You know, it may not be like I loved Legacy, and I know even that one got all sorts of mixed reviews, but I don't care. To me, when I got out of Tron Legacy back in the day, I was like, well, I guess this is my favorite movie. And that's how much I liked it. And I cannot say I had the same experience with Ares. But that said, there was definitely some cool blowy up buildings and robots doing stuff and blades and lasers and all sorts of good stuff. So, I had a great time. This is what I need. Leak conductors, I believe. Where am I at? We're just about done with the show here. Ooh, yeah, if that was 15 instead of 6, I'd be done. Awesome, though. That means I just need 9 more of the bleak conductors, and I've got, all the ingredients I need. And then other than the wilderness ones, which I'll probably take care of this weekend. So perhaps I'll have an LFM up on Shadowdale tonight, tomorrow. Well, not tonight. I'm doing a thing tonight. Might be seeing Tron Ares a second time. But this weekend anyway. Alright, thanks for watching. Fridays at 4 on twitch.tv/DidioStream. Next week, we'll have more news. We'll probably have some information by that point about our plans for Lamania. Probably the game update will have been out, and we got a whole bunch more happening in the coming weeks. If you're playing Night Revels this weekend, hope you have a great time. If you're enjoying Chill of Ravenloft, thank you so much. If you want to learn more about it, it's on DDO.com. Pick up this Volcanic pack if you are interested. And have a great weekend, everyone. See you soon.